Welcome to WOGE'S Folktales, the channel for original and premium African tales and folklores with moral lessons. Subscribe for premium content.
In the heart of Alaoma, a vibrant Igbo village nestled between lush hills and flowing rivers, respect for elders was a sacred tenet. Elders were seen as the custodians of wisdom and tradition, and their words carried the weight of generations. But not everyone in Alaoma adhered to this cultural cornerstone. Obiora, a headstrong young man, was notorious for his lack of respect toward the elders. Obiora was the only son of his parents, who doted on him and overlooked his faults. His father, Okonkwo, was a respected hunter, while his mother, Amora, was a gifted storyteller. Despite their efforts to instill values in their son, Obiora grew up believing that his youthful vigor and sharp mind made him superior to the older generation. He often scoffed at their stories, dismissing them as irrelevant tales of the past. One evening, after a particularly heated argument with his father, Obiora stormed out of their compound and wandered aimlessly through the village. His father's words echoed in his mind, "A tree cannot stand tall without its roots, Obiora. Respect for elders is the foundation of our community." Obiora found himself near the village square, where the elders often gathered to share stories and counsel. His son Kem, the oldest man in the village, recounting a tale to a group of children. Obiora snorted in disdain, muttering to himself, "These old men and their useless stories." As the night deepened, Obiora continued his aimless walk, venturing further than he had ever gone before. He eventually reached the outskirts of Alaoma, where the forest loomed dark and mysterious. Ignoring the warnings he had heard since childhood about venturing into the forest at night, Obiora pressed on, driven by a mix of anger and curiosity. The forest was thick with ancient trees, their branches entwined like the fingers of old friends. The moon cast an eerie glow through the canopy, and the sounds of nocturnal creatures filled the air. After walking for what felt like hours, Obiora came upon a clearing. In the center stood a massive, gnarled tree with a trunk as wide as a house. Curiosity piqued, Obiora approached the tree. As he reached out to touch its rough bark, a sudden gust of wind blew through the clearing, rustling the leaves. Startled, he stepped back, and to his amazement, the tree began to glow with a soft, ethereal light. From the tree emerged a figure, tall and majestic, with eyes that seemed to hold the wisdom of ages. Obiora knew at once that this was no ordinary being, it was a spirit of the forest. "Who are you, and why have you come here?" The spirit's voice was deep and resonant, like the murmur of a distant river. I am Obiora," he stammered, his bravado faltering. "I came here by accident." The spirit regarded him with a penetrating gaze. "Nothing happens by accident, young one. You have been led here for a reason." Obiora felt a strange mix of fear and curiosity. "What reason?" The spirit extended a hand, and Obiora felt an invisible force compelling him to step closer. "You have forgotten the ways of your people, the importance of respecting those who have walked the path before you. Tonight, you will learn a lesson that you will carry with you for the rest of your days." Before Obiora could respond, the spirit raised its hand, and the world around him began to spin. He felt himself being lifted off the ground, and the forest blurred into a whirlwind of colors and shapes. When the world finally steadied, he found himself standing in a village that looked strikingly like Alaoma, yet different in subtle ways. The people in this village moved with a slow, deliberate grace, and their eyes held a depth of wisdom that Obiora had never seen before. He realized with a joy that he had been transported to a place beyond time, a realm where the spirits of the ancestors resided. A group of elders, their faces familiar yet ageless, approached him. Among them, Obiora recognized his own grandfather, who had passed away many years ago. The old man smiled kindly at him, but his eyes were filled with a stern understanding. Obiora, his grandfather spoke, you have been brought here to learn the value of respect. Our traditions and stories are not mere relics of the past, they are the lifeblood of our community, connecting us to our roots and guiding our future. Obiora's heart pounded in his chest. Grandfather, I did not mean to be disrespectful. I just thought that. You thought that youth and strength made you superior, his grandfather interrupted gently. But wisdom is not measured by years alone. It is the accumulation of experiences, the lessons learned from both joy and sorrow. The other elders nodded in agreement. One of them, a woman with a regal bearing, stepped forward. You will walk with us, Obiora, and see the world through our eyes. Over the next few days, Obiora was taken on a journey through the realm of the ancestors. He witnessed scenes from the past, moments of triumph and tragedy that had shaped his village. He saw how the elders had faced challenges with courage and resilience, using their wisdom to guide the younger generation. He watched as his own father, as a young man, learned the ways of the hunter from his grandfather, the same man who now stood beside him. He saw the sacrifices his ancestors had made to ensure the survival and prosperity of their people. One night, as they sat around a fire, Obiora's grandfather told him a story he had heard many times but never truly listened to. It was the tale of the tortoise and the wisdom of the elders. In the story, the cunning tortoise sought to gather all the wisdom in the world into a gourd and keep it for himself. But as he climbed a tree to hide the gourd, it slipped and shattered, scattering wisdom across the land. The lesson was clear: wisdom is meant to be shared, not hoarded. As his grandfather finished the story, Obiora felt a deep sense of shame and realization wash over him. He understood now that his arrogance had blinded him to the value of the wisdom passed down through generations. I see now, grandfather, Obiora said, his voice trembling with sincerity. I have been foolish and disrespectful. I want to change. His grandfather placed a hand on his shoulder, his eyes filled with compassion. It is never too late to learn and grow, Obiora. Return to your world with a renewed heart and a humble spirit. Remember what you have seen and honor the wisdom of the elders. With those words, the realm of the ancestors began to fade, and Obiora found himself back in the clearing with the Nile tree. The spirit of the forest stood before him, its eyes still piercing but now with a hint of approval. You have learned your lesson, Obiora. Go back to your village and show them the respect they deserve. Obiora bowed deeply to the spirit. Thank you for this gift. I will not forget. As he made his way back to Alahoma, the first light of dawn began to break over the horizon. The village was just waking up, and the elders were already gathering in the square. Obiora approached them with a newfound respect and humility. He sought out Nkem, the oldest man in the village, and knelt before him. Please forgive my past disrespect. I have seen the error of my ways and wish to learn from you and the other elders. Nkem's eyes twinkled with surprise and pleasure. Welcome back, Obiora. It takes a wise man to admit his mistakes and seek the counsel of others. From that day forward, Obiora was a changed man. He spent time with the elders, listening to their stories and absorbing their wisdom. He helped his father on the hunts, respecting his guidance and learning the ancient techniques that had been passed down through generations. The village of Alahoma noticed the transformation in Obiora. He became a model of respect and humility, often sharing his own experiences and the lessons he had learned with the younger generation. He told them about the importance of the elder stories, how they were the threads that wove the fabric of their community together. As years passed, Obiora himself grew older and became one of the respected elders of Alahoma. He continued the tradition of storytelling, ensuring that the values of respect and humility were passed on to future generations. And so, The tale of Obiora's mystical encounter became another cherished story in the rich tapestry of Alaomo's folklore, a reminder of the timeless wisdom that the elders carried and the importance of respecting those who had walked the path before.